Hello, good evening, and welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in this Oxnard Police Department live Q&A straight to you. My name is Paul Carganilla. I'm the Oxnard Police Department Community Affairs Manager. Our guest this evening will be our Professional Standards Commander, Christopher Williams. I'll introduce him in just a moment. But I want to let you know we are live right now, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time through 6 o'clock. So for the next 30 minutes, if you have any questions for Commander Williams about anything in the department that relates to his position or the department in general, please feel free to submit them in the live chat on the video here this evening. And just to let you know, because it happens pretty much every time we do this, if you're watching the video after 6 p.m., we are no longer live. So we may not see your questions in the chat, but if we are able to find them at a later date, we will respond to them. But thank you once again so much for being here. And when the pandemic kind of shut down our visits to neighborhood council meetings, we found a really nice way to connect with the community right here through Zoom virtually, and especially with our Facebook community here. So happy to be with you in any way that we can, and really appreciate you being here this evening. And without further ado, let's bring in the commander himself, Commander Chris Williams. Hello, sir.
Good evening, Paul. Good evening, Facebook. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening with each and every one of you.
Absolutely. Thank you for being with us. And as we get all of the questions populating here in the chat, we'll talk about Commander Williams and get to know him and his life and his career. And it's always great to be able to I get to know our officers and so well through these conversations, but it's wonderful to be able to share it with the community as well. And I always start just reeling it back to the very, very beginning. Commander Chris Williams, born and raised?
The majority of my life's been in Oxnard, and in the South. I attended all local schools. I attended Bard Elementary for up to the third grade, then attended St. Anthony's School from fourth until eighth, and then attended high school at Santa Clara High School. Go Saints. And then, I moved away for a few years when I first got hired with the Watsonville Police Department. And then, just the driving force of the Oxnard community brought me back, and here I am.
Wow. What area was your childhood home growing up?
Down in the south end of Oxnard, Port Hueneme area, right at Pleasant Valley and J Street.
Gotcha. And we were just having a conversation before we went live. One of your favorite restaurants was down there, is no longer around anymore.
No, totally bummed. If you go to Citizens of Oxnard, Oriental Burger was my place to go throughout my childhood, right near Foster Freeze. I mean, we were very fortunate to have some good spots to eat.
Very cool. Now you mentioned, so you went to local schools, and then you said was that your Watsonville?
Watsonville. It's in Santa Cruz County,
okay.
about 4.5 hours north of here. I knew at a young age that I wanted to be in law enforcement. I actually started my police career with the Port Hueneme Police Department as a police cadet or police explorer, and then applied at jobs, and Watsonville Police Department was the first agency to pick me up. I went up there for a few years, about 3 years. Got a little homesick, tried to come back and work for Oxnard, but it just wasn't in the cards, and I got hired with Ventura Police Department from 2000 to 2004, and then gave it one more shot to come back to Oxnard, and I was hired in November of 2004, and been here since.
And was that obviously you had the cadet job with Port Hueneme, but did you work any other jobs outside of law enforcement in your life?
Oh yeah, I had some of the best jobs, really. I worked at the time it was called Mandalay Beach Resort, but it's now Embassy Suites over in the beach area. I started out as a pool boy. I used to get the guests towels Then I was a bellhop or bellman. I worked at the St. Anthony's Church in their front office for actually, I think like 4.5 years,
Wow.
15 to 19 or 18 or 19 somewhere. And then I used to love swimming. I was a competitive swimmer. So I taught swimming lessons at Hueneme High School. During the summer program, they had the pool open. So I taught swimming lessons and lifeguarded during the rec time.
Wow. Very cool. And so when you finally, since you already had so many years on, you didn't at Ventura and Watsonville, you didn't have to go through the academy here in Ventura County, did you?
No, no. The way California works is because they have a centralized, standardized police training. Um, they allow you to lateral to other agencies without having to go to the academy. Most agencies have like kind of like they call it a post academy where you go for a few weeks, kind of learn their paperwork. If they have any different 10 codes or police jargon, you would learn that and kind of learn the city and look at the maps and stuff like that as kind of like an introduction into the city.
What was the move like from working as a Ventura police officer to moving into your hometown and hitting the streets where you grew up? Was that did it was there nostalgia or what was that feeling?
Oh man, Paul, I tell you what, there's something about the community of Oxnard that is just so awesome. And for to be able to like grow up here and when you're driving around the streets and you're like, you just have so many memories coming back to you from growing up, and it's just great. I still have a lot of my childhood friends that I talk to that now have their kids that I see. They'll call me up and tell me, hey, I got a problem with my kid. You mind talking to him? It's just a great feeling. I mean, both my daughters go to Santa Clara High School, so I get to go back to the campus and be involved still in the community, and it's just great. It's a great feeling.
I remember I had Commander MacArthur on a Q&A here, and I was asking him if it ever got awkward, like running into people on calls for service that maybe you grew up with. And he was saying, quite the opposite. It kind of like is helpful because you already have a relationship and rapport with these people and the individuals, and you're able to connect with them and really be there for them in their time of need.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think it's a huge advantage, and I think that you kind of get that street cred when you're talking to, because I currently still live in the city, and you're talking about some issue, and there's a resident that's complaining about something that they don't like about the city, or something that they were upset of, and you're like, yeah, I relate to you. I mean, I go over those same potholes that you do. Let's work through this. Let's download your 311 app and put it in there, plug it in there, and let's get it fixed. And you kind of get that street cred and like, oh, okay, you know what I mean. You're not just here working for your 10, 12 hours and then, heading out of town. And, I think that's a big deal. It's a big deal to me.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is as I do oversee the social media for the department, and you see, social media being a place where people can vent and voice their disapproval about a lot of things. But what they don't realize is so many of our officers live here too, grew up here too, and are aware of these issues and know that they are a problem. So we just do our best as a department, I think, to address everything that we can, and as well as we can with the means that we have.
Definitely. Definitely.
As we're going to dive into your Oxnard PD career here, as we are currently live in 43 households right now. I'd like to encourage anybody who showed up late to, if you have any questions for Commander Williams along the way about anything department related or relating to his new position in professional standards, please drop it in the live chat right here on Facebook, and we will go through the questions in about 5 minutes or so. But first, I want to get to know kind of what your career path has been since you got to Oxnard, obviously. So you didn't have to go through the academy, you lateraled over, and we talked about how it was hitting the streets as a patrol officer in your hometown. But how long were you in patrol before you started to promote?
Um, I actually only did a short time in patrol. I did 2 years in patrol when I came to Oxnard, and because of my previous experience, I think I was kind of sought out to go to our violent crimes unit. When I was at Ventura Police Department, I worked at the gang unit there, so I had experience in that kind of realm. And I was recruited into the violent crimes unit and worked graffiti there for a year as a detective, and then moved over to the gang and violent assaults. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I was promoted to senior officer, and I was really blessed and fortunate to be able to stay in that current assignment in the violent crimes unit. And I worked that assignment for an additional year. And then in 2009, I was promoted to sergeant. And how it typically works in our organization is you get wheeled back or go back to patrol. I did about a year in patrol as a patrol sergeant, and then put in for the sergeant position for the violent crimes unit and was accepted for that position. I worked there for a couple of years, and then was moved over to our major crimes or homicide unit. And I worked that for a few years before I promoted in 2015 to commander. Again, I went back to patrol for, I think it was about 11 months, and then was asked to go into the Special Operations Division, which is SWAT, and a bunch of other units under that umbrella, and worked that position for 4 years, and then moved back to Patrol Watch Commander for a year, and then January. So it's actually my first week in professional standards. So just finishing up my first week.
I was as we were talking right before the live stream, I was like, I'm so sorry, like you've been in your new position for 4 days, and this is the end of the fourth day, and we're going to take all the questions about it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, please bring them on. Oxnard community, bring it on.
What's been your favorite assignment, or is there a place where your heart just really gravitates to?
Um, I would say, I think this spot that I'm currently in, I think this is going to be probably my favorite spot. I mean, you really have a lot of impact on the department and the community because you are in charge of hiring all the personnel for the department. So you really have a hand in what officers are selected and hired for the department. Obviously, there's the chiefs have a say, and you have other panelists that participate in it. But you really go out and recruit the best of the best, and that's what we want in Oxnard. So I think that's going to be the best assignment that I've had. Prior to this, they all, for their own reasons, were great assignments. I mean, they were tough assignments, and one of the toughest assignments was working homicide and having to tell a family member that their loved one was taken too soon as a result of someone's violence towards them. And they're, I mean, words can't describe how tough that is and how emotional it is. So, but it's something that's needed, and I think having the compassion and be able to help the community out that way and putting the bad people away so they can't do it again is important.
I do want to talk more about that, but I also want to just hop back real quick as you were talking about hiring the best of the best, and I just want to let everybody know who's watching, we are currently hiring, and of course, if you work at another department, you want to lateral over just like Commander Williams did, we're accepting all applications, and you can find those at joinoxnardpd.com. We really are making a push this year to hire more officers because I think we've got 20 something vacancies.
The chief told us we're going to be up to 22 vacancies in the next couple of weeks.
So send us your best candidates for the Oxnard Police Department. We would love to meet them. But yeah, jumping back to the working in homicide and having to, this is something that I find very interesting because, I obviously you're a family man. You mentioned your daughter's in high school. And I remember I had a live Q&A with our sergeant of the family protection unit, Scott Aaron. And I was just asking him, how it, I can't imagine how difficult it is to like give a family news like you just mentioned. And are there some days that you ever question like this career choice, or is it just you know in your heart that what you're doing is trying to obviously bring justice to the victim's family? I don't know if you can touch on the I don't know if it's necessarily if it's a gratifying experience to be able to be there for the victims' families, or what part of your personal life do you feel like is the most valuable in your job at that point?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not gratifying in a positive way in the sense that, you're taking away something from it. I think what you are is a part of that support system for the family. And being a sergeant, you're not, at least with our organization, you don't actually investigate the homicide. You go with your investigators and kind of oversee the investigation. You're there with the family, but I mean, there's family members of homicide victims that we still remain in contact with, and it's 10, 15, 20 years later, and there's just that bond and that connection. And yeah, some days are really tough. And to be honest, I have a very strong support system. My family, my wife, my three kids, my parents, my mother-in-law, everybody that I can depend on to kind of get through those things. And yeah, and you have to find like releases. Mine's swimming. I love to swim. Go in the gym, run on the treadmill. You have to get those releases because if not, it builds up and it takes a toll, and you see the toll. And really, a law enforcement, we're fortunate with Oxnard. We've recognized it, but we have a strong peer support system. We're getting better. We're doing wellness check-ins with our employees, but it wasn't always like that. And officers, that's why you see a high suicide rate. You see a high substance abuse rate, and it's because they don't have those release systems. So it's very important, and I think Oxnard's taken a good step in the right direction on ensuring the wellness and the well-being of their officers.
So important. And I do remember going through, even when I was hired as a dispatcher, in my interview for that position, it was like, tell me about your support system at home, because it is so important in this career.
Yeah.
All right, we'll jump into the questions in just a moment, but before we do that, I don't want to end talking about your career on that note. Can you tell me what is your favorite thing? What is the most gratifying thing about your career, or even maybe your favorite moment from all of your years in law enforcement?
Oh, wow. I don't know if I can pinpoint a favorite moment, but I will tell you one of the best things about this job is, well, there's a couple of things, and I'll hit on two of them. One, no job or no day is exactly the same as another day. I mean, been doing this for 24 years, and even though some of the calls may be repetitive, each day is a different day. And the second thing is being able to engage with the community. And in this job, you have so many opportunities to engage in the community, from being a basketball coach to coaching a youth football team, to feeding the homeless, I mean, you just have so many opportunities to engage with the community and make such a positive impact and a positive influence on so many lives, because on a daily basis, you figure we handle, I don't know, 20, 25 calls for service a day. And that's 25 people that you could have a positive contact with and impact their life in such a positive way. And I mean, there's not many jobs out there that you get to do that in such high frequency.
Absolutely. Well said. We'll go through these questions starting from the top. Actually, I will hit one that was in A comment thread from when we started to promote this live Q&A from Ryan Garcia. Ryan asks, how do you feel the department has evolved since you first started working up till now? What are some positive changes you have seen and continue to see?
Ryan, that's actually a great question. I have living here the majority of my life. I think that as far as a police department's concerned, we've evolved so much more transparent, more outgoing, getting more involved with the community. And you see that if you live in Oxnard or probably any other city, like modernized city in the United States, is the law enforcement's evolved into the community policing realm, which has really like been a game changer for all of us. Oxnard, if you've been in here any amount of time, I mean, it's just grown. It is. I remember as a kid, where like the new St. John's Hospital were all fields. My neighborhood over near Pacifica High School were strawberry fields. You could get from my house all the way to the 101 freeway at the north end of the city, and I think it was like 10 minutes. So, I mean, Oxnard is a growing city, and I think sometimes that's a challenge for some people because they remember the old Oxnard, and they are kind of like in that mode of we're just a small city. And if you look at it, Oxnard is the 19th largest city in California.
Yeah.
And if you look at all the cities in California, I mean, that's big. I mean, we're a moderate sized city, and we're just continuing to grow. And I think it's good and bad. I think that we're fortunate to have some good council members that have that vision for Oxnard and are making sure that we have the infrastructure in place. We have great leaders within the city that have that vision, and I think we're going in a great direction. And we've had our ups and downs, and as a longtime resident of Oxnard, we've gone through our tough times, and I think that this, with the passage of Measure E and with everything else, I mean, I think we're on the uptick, and I'm really excited. I have at least 5-6 years left in my career, and I'm really excited for our city and how it's going to continue to grow and do well.
Very well put. Now hopping over to the live chat here. First, Alina says, hi, Paul. Hi, Alina. Thank you for being here. Jose Ochoa says, thank you so much for all your help, Oxnard PD. Citizens for a Better Oxnard Uncensored, not to be confused with Citizens for a Better Oxnard, asks, why won't you guys ask the feds to step in and take these ex-felons to prison of a firearm charge? They continued, hopefully this clarifies, these gang members that are ex-felons that get caught with firearms, can we ask the feds to pick up the charges and keep them off the streets?
Yeah. So who was that from? I'm sorry. It was from Citizens for a Better Oxnard?
Yeah, uncensored.
Uncensored.
Yes.
That's a great question. We actually do. We have great partnerships with the ATF and the FBI, our violent crimes unit. When I was in special operations, we actually started a FBI task force specifically addressing those types of things. And if you see news releases, you'll see that we've actually stepped up our game on taking these dangerous weapons out of these convicted felons. The unfortunate thing is the federal government, it's tough. They have stricter criteria for what they will file. They have less personnel and attorneys to file the cases. I wish I had the statistics for you to tell you how many cases we've taken federally, but we do take a good amount of cases federally and get a lot of good convictions for those dangerous felons that possess those firearms. Definitely want to do more, but unfortunately, with resources being as they are, it's tough sometimes.
Absolutely. Daniela Arabalo asks, when is the shutdown? I'm not quite sure what she's referring to. So Daniela, if you're still watching, if you can just clarify, we can address that. David Keith is here. He says, I have no question, but it's great to see this effort ongoing. Thank you, David. So good to see you in the chat. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, David. Great guy.
Eric Zorba, yes, he is. Eric Zorba says, what are some of the changes that you have in mind to help the city and its diverse department. I think we kind of touched on the future of the department, but do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, we want to get the best of the best for candidates for police officers, for dispatchers, and we really need to capitalize off it. It's unfortunate some of the current events that have gone on with law enforcement, and we kind of got a black eye. And I hope people realize that Oxnard is not like that. That we want to hire the best, and for all those naysayers out there that say that we're not doing a good enough job, and hey, we have tons of openings. Please come with us and join us, and let's yeah we have a seat for you at the table, and let's have you come join us and do this together.
Yes. I'm just going in order here. So Emma Danger Anderson asks, wow, Danger is her middle name, asks, what does the canine unit do? Can we pet them?
The canine unit is such a vital tool for our organization. One, I think it's probably one of the best tools we have to bridge the gap between the community, because who doesn't love canines? Who doesn't love the dogs? I think they're probably the most popular in the department. Unfortunately, I wish it was me, but I think it's our canine handlers. They are able to be put in smaller confined spots or spaces to track and locate suspects. We can use them to track and find people that not only are bad people, but could be someone that's missing. We can help, track them and locate them. And really, they just make our jobs safer. They, like I said, are just a huge, invaluable service for us. And I wish we could have more of them.
Absolutely. J.R. Ruiz, and this is a great question for you since you are the new professional standards commander. He says, I lost all my faith in OPD because they talk the talk but don't walk the walk. He continued later down the chat saying, are things going to change with you? Or are you going to sweep it under the rug like in the past? It's hard to address if there's nothing specific to address, but do you have anything to respond with to that?
Well, I would just say, Mr. Ruiz, I live in the community. I don't know what specifically he's talking about, but I can tell you, being a community member and having tons of family and friends, that I'm not going to sweep anything under the rug. We are a very accountable department. We're a very transparent department. I think we're the leaders in this industry when it comes to handling complaints and being transparent. And I would just encourage you that you or anybody else, that if you have a complaint of misconduct of an officer, to let us know and give us an opportunity to look into it. Police officers or any other police employee have rights, and just like everybody else, and there's due process, and obviously we have to follow those. But I can assure you that with the leadership that we have within our organization, that if there's wrongdoing, officers or any Oxnard police employee would be held accountable.
If somebody does have a complaint, how can they do that?
Super simple, Paul, and I think that's a great question, and thanks for the plug. Multitude of ways. If you're internet savvy or have a computer, you can go online, and on our website, there's a place for you to click and file a complaint there. You can also make a commendation. If so, cops do good things too. So if you have an officer that's done something good that you want them recognized for, I can tell you that it's a good feeling to get that attaboy. You can do that as well. Although our lobby is closed down now, when the lobby's open, we have complaint forms there. Or you can just call into the police department 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, speak to a supervisor, and if you have no other means, they will take the complaint for you. And it's California law that a police agency look into and investigate the allegations. So rest assured, you will have the complaint investigated and be told the disposition of the complaint, whatever the disposition was.
Perfectly addressed, I think. Now we are over time. Do you have to be somewhere, or do you have a few more minutes we can finish all these
If,
questions here.
if there's questions coming in, I'll stay as long as you want to keep going.
All right. See, I told you it just goes by in a blink. Time flies when you're having fun. So Eric Sorba asks, what has been the hardest task for officers in our ever-changing course due to social media, COVID, and any other derailing obstacles?
That's a great question. I mean, there's obviously tons of different challenges. I think our officers, uh, they have families, and especially specific to COVID, they don't want to bring anything home to their families. And I mean, there's just so many unknowns with COVID or any other kind of airborne disease or any other issue, and just contracting it and taking it home to your families. It's obviously a huge concern. I think what I would, I guess, is an ask of the public is to give the officers and the department the time to sort out whatever incident or situation is going on. Give before we jump to conclusions. I mean, especially now with social media, it's so quick for someone to put a 5-second blurb of something that may not look good. But when you look at the totality of the incident and you review the whole circumstances, you'll see that the officer actually acted accordingly. So I think sometimes, I mean, and I guess it's just what we live with nowadays is people are so quick to see like a quick blurb or a quick, something on social media and just jump onto it and make an assumption or have an opinion. And I see it. I mean, my daughters are the same way. They're on social media and they're like, Dad, look at this. This is so crazy. And I have to remind them, okay, we'll just give it a little bit of time. Let's wait till it all shakes out and give whoever it is the opportunity to address it.
Absolutely. It's so hard to actually find the context surrounding that 20-second video that you saw on social media.
Exactly.
But do trust that our officers are doing the best they can in any given situation. Maria Higginson says, confidence in your success. Let's all do better in our community, Oxnard. Sonia Whitmer says, you've always been an upstanding person, proud to have known you since the beginning. Janelle Bishop says, thank you for your service, Chris. Do you have any specific favorite memories of your interactions with the Oxnard community? And what makes Oxnard such a special city to you?
Wow, those are great questions. So I think my greatest memory is being able to engage with the community is being able to be a basketball coach with POW. And then this last year, I was able to volunteer as a football coach for our Oxnard Knights, the Mighty Mites, and to see those kids like I think just the youth in general, like they see you in uniform and they're like, oh my God, and they see you outside of uniform and they're like, oh my God, and you're like, I don't know, you're just to see the amazement in their eyes and try to like correlate it. They're like, you are human, and it's just such a good feeling and being able to like contribute to laying the foundation for them to be upstanding. Like they're going to replace us. They're the next generation, our next leaders, and we got to give them that positive foundation. So to be able to be a part of that is just amazing. And I think with Oxnard, just as such the huge diversity. I started running actually in the morning since I got this job. Me and my daughters will go out running 6 in the morning before I go to work, and I'm running around the neighborhood, and it's kind of it's kind of crazy. You smell like the chorizo and eggs going. You smell some of the like Asian food. Like people are like up in the morning cooking their different meals, and you get like the flavor and the taste of so much diversity. And being a food lover myself, I mean, it just Oxnard is such a huge melting pot, and I think we do such a good job at getting along together.
Absolutely, the community here is so strong. Sonia Whitmer, when you were talking about the canines, I think she dropped in, way to go, Rocky, Capone, and Leo.
Yeah.
Robin Williams says, proud wife moment. Nice to see her in the chat. Maricela Chavez Contreras asks, I'm not sure what she's referring to, but the helicopter was out the other day. Did they find the person? Do you happen to know?
I don't, Maria. I apologize. I don't remember. I didn't actually see the helicopter out, so I don't unfortunately know what she's referencing.
We've been using drones lately when we need to, and it's been
Ah,
a huge help.
yeah.
Former Oxnard Police Chief John Cromback is in the chat, and he
Oh,
says, "Got to be proud to see your program still alive. Thanks for visiting."
so Chief Gromback, he was the one that actually promoted me to senior officer and to sergeant. So,
Wow,
yeah,
oh, big supporter.
yes.
Um, and that's about it. JR says here at the end, "Thank you very much for your program." Um, oh, Maricela is saying it was a stabbing close to the police department. Not quite sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, Maria, I apologize. I don't really
Oh,
know that one.
you know what? I actually went out to that. It was a call that came in. The helicopter was not here for that, but there was a helicopter in the area when that happened. A call came in from just across the street over on F Street about a domestic disturbance and a stabbing that occurred
Yes,
inside
that
of a
was a
resident.
stunning incident.
Yeah, and so the caller told the dispatcher that his girlfriend had a gun to his head and had just stabbed him, and it turned out to be a completely bogus call. Someone just wanted to stir up some trouble and have the police respond to a house where everyone in the house was like, "I don't know, I don't know,
Yeah, it's
not
usually.
happening here." So yeah, we usually wrap these up with some fun rapid fire questions, just silly ones to end on a fun note. Questions like, what is your, now that Oriental Burger is gone, what is your favorite meal to pick up here in town?
Ooh, pickup. Um, I would say, God, there's so many. Thai Chinese.
Awesome. And what is your favorite meal to make at home, or that your lovely wife makes at home?
Okay, so God, she makes so many good ones. I would say, okay, so, and I would say, ooh, mine would probably be when I make ribs or tri-tip, and hers, I would say, oh God, Paul, you're gonna get me in trouble. Uh,
You don't have to answer. I don't want to cause any drama for you.
there's so many to choose from. I mean, she's a great cook and
Okay,
she does very well.
that is fair. What was your first car?
It was a 85 Dodge pickup.
What color?
It was, I think, like a brown color. It was a hand-me-down. My folks gave it to me.
Nice. First
Yeah.
music album you ever purchased?
Oh God, you're gonna date me. It was Beastie Boys,
Nice.
Licensed to Ill.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the first concert you ever went to?
Oh, it was my uncle, and he took me to the Who at the Coliseum.
Nice. Two or three of your top 10 movies.
Oh, top three. Top Gun,
Okay.
Colors, and mm, oh God, I'll stick with two. Yeah, the third would be tough to narrow down.
Sounds good. Anything else you want to leave our audience with here this evening?
No, I mean, thank you for your support. Thank you for the opportunity to be on the show. I hope we continue this engagement. So just because I'm done doing the straight to you live Q&A, you can find me on Facebook, Christopher Williams. You can call the department, leave me a message, shoot me an email. It's really easy, christopher.williams@oxnardpd.org. You'll see me around town. Don't be afraid to say hi, and I'd love to have conversations. That's some of the best parts of my day. So let's stay engaged and let's continue to make Oxnard great.
Couldn't say it any better myself. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you again, Commander Chris Williams, for the Q&A this evening. And we hope to see you at the next one. Have a safe night and stay safe out there, Oxnard.
Good night, everyone.